2 days, but the NFL draft, even though it was not like, even though there wasn't that much talent in the NFL draft, I have to admit that it was actually very interesting. It was very interesting because over the past few years, this draft has not been it's the least talented draft, and some teams did some very interesting, questionable picks. And what makes the draft always interesting is the fact that you want to see if these guys, if these players, if they're actually going to hit, if they're actually going to be good. And you're always looking, and if you're really really deep into football, and if you really are deep into college football, you want to see if they can transition into the NFL. That's what always makes the draft interesting is, can these guys transition? If they were really great in college, can that greatness transition to the pros? If maybe they wasn't so great, or maybe if they were slept on in college, or they wasn't used right in college, and let's say they had a really great combine, they had a really great pro day, and would they be able to just blossom? Maybe they were late bloomers and maybe they didn't get the shot like in college. That happens sometimes too. And so, with that being said, so the fact that the point that I'm making is that with this NFL draft being the least talented that I have seen in quite some time, probably since I've been watching football since 2004, would there be some like guys that would just be great? I mean, the running back from the Browns, I can't remember his name. Is it Junkins? I didn't know how good that guy was going to be. I think he was a sleeper. And look what the Browns did. The Browns are drafting pretty well. In the past couple of years, they have done pretty good with their drafts. They're pretty much hitting. And I think the Browns got some sleepers. I do. I did a little bit of research on who their draft picks were, and I think they're going to do good. I think what's his name, Casey Concepcion, I think his name is. I think he's going to do really well. I think he's going to be a pretty solid wide receiver, and it proves that they do want Shedeur Sanders. I think they are showing the world and showing the NFL ecosystem, I guess you could say, they're showing that Shedeur is their guy. Now, when was Shedeur Sanders start? That's a different story. We don't know because, again, they got a $40 million quarterback that they are paying, and Deshaun Watson is going to have to start. He's going to have to play somewhere down the line. I mean, the NFL is a business, and they're not going to have Deshaun Watson, if he's healthy, just sit there and just not play. He's going to play. Deshaun Watson is going to have to play. The only way how Deshaun Watson is not going to play is the fact that is if he's, I'll say, if he's hurt. If he's hurt, and then also if he's playing like trash throughout the entire offseason, preseason, and going into the early regular season, and and the entire fan base is just uproar that they want Shedeur Sanders to play. But don't get me wrong, Shedeur Sanders will play sometime this year. I just don't know when, but I do know that it's just not going to be just pure Shedeur Sanders. So that's just the thing that you have to take in consideration. I've always been a fan of Deshaun Watson. I've always liked Deshaun Watson, man. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate what happened to him, what happened in the situation, but Deshaun Watson, for those who've been watching football, what I'm saying, for the past decade, that Deshaun Watson was that guy when he was with the Houston Texans. He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and he was really before Mahomes became Mahomes. Deshaun Watson was right there. There was debate if Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback in the league at the time, and just like that, he just fell off. I mean, I remember, yeah, I I mean was making the bold predictions that I felt like Deshaun Watson was going to be able to get into his old form. I thought that he probably could have been came back to becoming a great player, years ago, and I just finally gave up. I was just like, yeah, Deshaun Watson, he's done. He's washed up. I don't think he's going to be back to where he once was. Maybe this year, maybe if he does, man, that's one of the greatest bounce backs in NFL history. If he does, goes back to his regular form, and it's going to kind of be a very questionable situation for Shedeur Sanders. What the Browns is going to do with Shedeur if Deshaun does do that. I mean, I think Shedeur Shador's still young. If he can still back up Deshaun, I don't think that the Browns should try to trade him or anything. So, but we'll see, man. I think that I do think, with all that being said, that's all speculation talking. I do think that Shedeur Sanders will be the permanent starter for the Cleveland Browns for years to come. I think the Browns got their guy. They feel like they got their guy. And so the Browns are in a good spot right now, man. They really are. I like their coach. I think they have a really, I love their coach's charisma. I like his enthusiasm. I like how he's just straightforward. I like how passionate he is about football. I love how you can tell, like, if you listen to the Cleveland Browns press conferences, you can tell that coach, that guy, he is just an old school, hard-nosed football coach. You can just tell, like, the way he talks, man. And so I think Shedeur is he is in a great situation. Todd Monken, I think he's in a phenomenal situation with this coach, and he finally got a coach that's on his side, that's rooting for him, and that's just like, hey, I'm not going to give this to you, but it's there if you want it. So in other words, if you want it, you got to earn it. So I love that, and I'm not going to be in the way of you getting it. It's right there. So the ball is in Shedeur Sanders' court. I think all Shedeur Sanders needs to do is just go out there and beat him and just compete hard and be a sponge, learn as much as you can. I think Deshaun Watson, even though he's more than like washed up, I think Deshaun Watson is veteran quarterback for Shedeur to learn from, because Deshaun Watson once was that guy. He really was. So, yeah. But I like what the Browns did. I can't remember all of the Browns draft picks. I will look it up and I will go over it. But I'm liking what the Browns are doing, man. I like what they did the past couple seasons. So any Cleveland Brown fans out there, any Cleveland Brown fans that are subscribed to this channel, I think it's only going to be so long until your team continues keeping the laughing stock of the NFL. You already got the defense. It seems like you got the quarterback situation down packed, and you got some good draft picks. You got a good running game. Looks like you got a good wide receiver who's a sleeper in the draft. So I'm liking what you got. I'm liking the Browns, man. Yeah. So I think, like I said, I talked about the Browns. I hate their draft. I think their draft was just terrible all around. I don't like it. Now, some people are saying that tight end that they drafted in the second round was solid. I don't know too much about that tight end. I got to do some research on him, but I did hear that the tight end was pretty solid, though. So I don't know, man. But the Rams, I just feel like the Rams, the situation that they're in, if the Rams was in rebuilding stage, I can almost see why they would get Ty Simpson. But the Rams are in win now stage, man. The Rams, and we got to get another Super Bowl. We got to get Sean McVay another ring, and we got to get Matthew Stafford another ring before he retires. So just to really, 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 really seal Matthew Stafford's legacy, we got to get one more ring. And I just don't like that they got Ty Simpson. I know there's been a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, justifications of why the Rams moved up to get Ty Simpson in the 13th pick, but it's just like I just think it was just a terrible situation. I just think it was a terrible justification. I really do. Yeah, I don't really like the fact that they got this guy in the first round of the 13th pick. I just think that was just a terrible. Like, if I was the owner. Yeah, my bad. I'm not phone. Yeah, I would not have. I wouldn't. I mean, I would. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't mind them picking getting Ty Simpson. So let me be clear about that. I don't mind them getting Ty Simpson. I just don't like that they got Ty Simpson at the 13th pick, because I feel like you could have gotten him in the second round. They were so, again, okay, if you go back and watch some of my previous videos, you will see that I always keep talking about BPA, best player available. I keep talking about that over and over and over again, because it's so important. Because that's how you really build a prominent championship level team, is you always look for the best player that you can get. You don't draft. I don't even think you pick up free agency in needs. You get the guys that are freaking dogs. You got to get freaking dogs, animals, dudes who are just all about football, obsessed, blue collar, just meat grinders, animals whose life just revolves around football. Like they don't care about, I don't want to say they don't care about anything else, but I'm just talking about just straight up dogs. Like let's think about if you had a football team with guys who are like that over just team needs. Guys who are like that, they're going to override what the needs of your team. It was like everybody fans keep talking about, oh, we need a center, we need a center, we need a left guard, we need a left guard, we need a wide receiver, we need a wide receiver, we need a tight end, we need a tight end. No team is one position away from winning a freaking Super Bowl. No team is. If you got a freaking team full of freaking animals, like they're going to feast their way into the promised land. That's the whole logic of football. So I think sometimes you got fans and you got sometimes analysts and coaches sometimes who sometimes are who makes the game too complicated than what it is. So, but but again, I don't. Like in the Rams, they did what they did what I don't think is a good idea. They went and drafted a team need. What they're thinking like a team need in the future, or like they're trying to play smart, and I think they actually shot themselves in the foot. They're like, oh, let's be smart. Let's trade. Let's use this pick that we got from the Falcons to get Ty Simpson. Let's move up. Let's move up, yeah, and get Ty Simpson. First off, I want to ask you all this. Please, fact check me, correct me on this if you disagree with what I'm saying about the Rams. When was the last time the Rams drafted a good quarterback? I'm not even going to say great quarterback. I'm going to say a good quarterback. When was the last time the Rams did that? One. When was the last time an Alabama quarterback was great in the NFL? Was good in the NFL? When was the last time? I know some of you might say Tua Tagovailoa, but I think he was always a below average quarterback. And Jalen Hurts don't count. He transferred to Oklahoma. So now you got Mac Jones. Okay. But again, when was the last time that a Alabama quarterback was just without question good? So with that being said, was Ty Simpson worth it? Was he worth the 13th pick? Was he? I mean, you had some freaking dogs at the 13th pick, and you went with Ty Simpson. That's going to hurt the Rams. The Rams had the opportunity. They had the chance to bolster that defense, or to bolster that wide receiver room, or to bolster that tight end room. And they went with Ty Simpson. Again, it doesn't matter if you don't need the player right now. If it's like need on a depth chart. And I'm not even going to say need. You need dogs. You need animals. You need players that are going to feast. You need that. So that is a team need. But I'm going to say be more specific and say it doesn't matter if you don't need this player on the depth chart. That doesn't matter. So get the team needs on with scrubs. That's what you should do. Because here's the thing: when you got guys who are just, when you got the freaking animals as pass rushers, or animals at the defensive line, or animals at the offensive line, or it's just all beefed up at the wide receivers. You got players like that in a few different positions around your team. They are going to override the guys who are trash that filled your team needs. They're going to override that. Because say you got a Michael Irvin at wide receiver, that wide receiver is going to get you a few more touchdowns than what you probably could have been, and that's going to win you a few more games. You see what I'm saying? Or the running back. So that's what I'm talking about. So, but always being so obsessed with getting team needs is not going to, it's not going to really get you as many wins as opposed to having freaking dogs on your squad. So again, best player available is the best way to go, man, when you're building a team. It's the best way to go. Best player available is the best way to go. That's the motto. That's my motto. That's my logic. And that's all I got for right now. And I really, really thank you all so much. Oh, I wanted to talk about the Chargers real quick. Brendan Thompson. I wanted to see what the Chargers fan base thought about him. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what he's going to do with Justin Herbert. It's about time Justin Herbert got a guy that can really just flat out just open the field. You know what I'm saying? And create space because the guy, he's a burner. And if his speed can transition into the football field, which I think he's on the perfect team for him to learn how to do that. You got Justin Herbert, who's going to coach the hell out of you, who's not going to sugarcoat things, who is going to make sure you got your crap, your stuff together. And Justin Herbert's going to get in that ass if you're not doing it right. We seen Justin Herbert snap off on guys for not being in the right position where they were. We saw Justin Herbert snap off on Brandon Rice when Brandon Rice was so confused about the plays, and Brandon Rice is not on the Chargers anymore. I think that was the last time he ever stepped foot on the field, and he's not with the Chargers. I think he signed with the Steelers or something. I don't know where Brandon Rice went, but he's not in LA. So we see that Justin Herbert don't play. And then on none of that, the Chargers got a really good wide receivers coach. Sanjay Law, I think his name is Sanjay Law. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's really, really great receiver coach. He's the one that really helped DK Metcalf get his game going. He also has been coaching QJ. QJ has been getting better each and every year. So Sanjay Law is a really, really great wide receivers coach. And then we have, lo and behold, Mike McDaniel. Hello, so Brendan Thompson, if that's how I pronounce his name. I think it's Brandon or Brendan Thompson. Running a 4.26, very athletic guy, but he's very small. I think he's like 5'9", a buck 60. But hey, man, if he can play bigger, hey, this is the one thing that you all need to know about is that size doesn't matter in football. It matters to a certain extent, but not really that much. What really matters is the size of your heart, the size of your mind, the size of your freaking self-confidence. That's what matters more. So intangibles. The intangibles in football, especially in NFL, matter so much more than the tangibles. A lot of people who doesn't understand the game, probably didn't play the game, they probably think that, you see a big guy, you see a guy who just dominates on the measurements and on the charts, and he all of a sudden supposed to be good. No, wrong. That's just the icing on the cake. What matters is like all the internal things, man, that the guys can do on the field. So if this guy, if he has the heart, if he got that dog in him, and that can transition, the athleticism can transition into the field. You got all the right coaches. You got the right strength and conditioning coach. You got one of the best training centers, football facilities in the entire NFL. The Bolt, our owner, freaking invested $1 billion into that facility. So it's all there. It's all there. Man, to be honest with you, man, I honestly don't care what team you go to in the NFL. If you're not playing great, man, if you can't blossom in the NFL, that's all on you. It's nobody else's fault. You can't blame it on coaching. You can't blame it on your team. You can't blame it on anybody else but yourself. You got all the resources in the world. And you also have a lot of time on your hands too. Because practices are not that long. They're not that long. You got the money. You got the resources. You have everything. You cannot tell me if you are obsessed. You ask your coaches X, Y, and Z. You're asking vets X, Y, and Z, or you want to reach out to other great players in the league or who played in the league. You can't tell me that they're not there. So that's why sometimes, really, when guys suck at the NFL, I have no remorse for them because it's like, dog, you're lazy. That's the bottom line. You're lazy. You're lazy and you're bumming out, and you are because you can be doing more. You're getting complacent. You're getting paid millions of dollars. You're getting paid more than your average person in the world. And why is it that you are not at least good? At least good. Like, you're getting paid to be obsessed with your body. You're getting paid to be obsessed with your game. Why is it that you're not good? What else is there that's in your mind that's keeping you from not being at least good? So I don't, yeah, so if Brendan Thompson got that dog in him, man, Tyreek Hill 2.0. I hear people saying it. Let's see. Tyreek Hill had that dog in him. Tyreek Hill was an animal. So now I did hear that Mike McDaniel says that Brendan Thompson reminds him of Tyreek Hill. They are the same height. They're not the same size. But hey, he can beef up. He got the right strength and conditioning coach, Ben Herbert. So it's all there, man. It's all there. All right. So that's all I got for right now. I will go over the rest of the Chargers draft picks. I think the Chargers had a phenomenal draft. This is why the fan base needs to this is my point. The Chargers fanboy base just needs to calm down, bro. Like, Just trust what Ortiz is doing. This guy is studying not just for this year's draft. He's studying for next year's draft. He's studying for drafts in the future. Like these guys, these scouts, the training staff, all these, they have an army of people who is going out, doing their homework, doing their research of and studying these guys from the time they were in elementary school to the time to now. They are doing their research. Even guys in the league too. Scouts also looks for guys in the league too, not just college. So you got to take that in consideration. Like they are looking. So if Joe Ortiz is like, I don't know about that, then just trust that he knows what he's doing because he's doing his homework. Now sometimes he sometimes does bother me from some of the stuff he says. Like he's like, I don't really trust going big in the off season and stuff like that. Um, but here's the thing, man. Um, going big into free agency. But here's the thing. It's but here's the thing though. Like because like I was kind of mad about him not getting AJ Brown, but if he does get AJ Brown, I mean I think that I don't think he's going to get AJ Brown, but if he does, that's just icing on the cake. But we're not going to get AJ Brown though. That's just like we're not going to get AJ. But I mean I kind of didn't. I know during the press conference he was talking about that he's not going to be very big on. He doesn't really believe. I think he was saying really big on getting guys on making big names, like paying big money in free agency. But I will push back on that. I think that you do. I mean, sometimes if it's obvious, you do have to just go big. You do have to go big. And I don't. And AJ Brown, he's an obvious player that you should go big on. So it's sometimes you can't. You gotta. I would say you have to not think out the box, but sometimes you can't be too rigid. You can't be too rigid with what your logic is, with what your philosophy is. Sometimes you could be too smart for your own good. Like don't overthink this. AJ Brown is there. If you was able to get AJ Brown, just give up some stuff to get him. Plain and simple. Now we did end up getting Messidor, so I think he is a violent guy. He is a violent player. You know, so I think that if we're going to miss out, if we're going to miss out on getting a proven player, you better hit on the unproven player. You better hit on it. And so far, Ortiz has been low key hitting. He hit on all. He hit him. It looks like he might hit on McConkey. So he hit on the 2 5th round draft picks that he did a couple of years ago with not Cam Ward, with those two cornerbacks. So hopefully he hits on Messidor. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Messidor, Key Messidor. Hopefully he hits on that. And yeah, so I think it's safe to say that we might not get Hill. Maybe we might get Tyreek Hill. Maybe we still could probably still get him, depending on how Tyreek Hill is, how healthy he is, and what he's asking for. I would like to see Tyreek Hill in the league again, and I would like to see him with Mike McDaniel again. And I think it is safe to say that I think this is the end of the road for Keenan Allen. I think that we more than likely are not going to resign Keenan Allen, which is okay. I mean, hey, Keenan Allen had his run, and he didn't play well in the playoffs at all. At all, he didn't, and he did have a pretty solid year, but he did not show up in the playoffs. So, and I just don't know if his type of well, I'm not going to say that because I do think Mike McDaniel is the type of offensive coordinator that can really adjust to any player. That's what great coaches do. They adjust to the players, not how the players adjust to them. But it's not all said and done for Keenan Allen. I think we can see what happens with Keenan, but he's going to have to play a different type of role. I think for if he comes back, because I just don't think Keenan Allen's game is big enough for him to overshadow what Mike McDaniel is doing and what other and these other wide receivers to blossom, especially the productivity and the growth of Lat McConkey, because Lat McConkey has such a great rookie year he fell back on his sophomore year, and the speculation is it's like, well, was it because of Keenan Allen? Did Keenan Allen take up all the stuff from Ladd McConkey, like all the responsibilities of Ladd McConkey? Now, I did say this before. I'm like, we can't blame that on Keenan. If Ladd McConkey is a dog, Ladd McConkey is a dog. I don't care if Keenan Allen is was on the team and he overtook all the responsibilities. He overshadowed Ladd McConkey. I don't care. Ladd McConkey, get what you can get. Make something out of nothing. When the ball is coming your way, make that count. And Ladd McConkey didn't do that. He didn't do that last year. So Ladd McConkey's fallback year, his rookies for his sophomore year was all on him. It was on nobody else. So we can't blame that on Keenan. So that's that. So if you're a dog, you're gonna eat regardless. So it doesn't matter. You're gonna have to be an expert in turning small things into big things. So yeah. But that's all I got for right now. And so yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about everything I said about your team drafting. Oh yeah, somebody was asking about the Pats. I gotta look at what the Pats did. I gotta look at their draft. I can't remember who they got right now, because right now I'm just talking everything off the top of my head. But I will jump back on and I will go through every team, see what I think, tell you what I think, and yeah, we'll go from there. Again, like I said, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched college football in the past couple of years, so my IQ in college ball is not as high as it used to be, because the past few years college football has been the past 2 years, college football has got pretty underwhelming for me. It's just it just got boring to me. It's just not as competitive as it used to be. So, but this year I am going to force myself to watch college ball so I can really know about these guys coming out, talking about the draft and everything like that. So I can really know what I'm talking about. So yeah, but I will give you my honest opinion. I will do my research on those guys. If you have a specific player, or if you want me to really go into depth of your team, I will do that. So one guy asked for the Pats. I'll give you a video for the Patriots. I will. I will do my research. I'll do a video for you for the New England Patriots. Tell you what my opinion on their players, on who they drafted. I would do that for you. So yeah, if you're liking what you hear, if you like my honest takes, if you like how authentic and unapologetic I am, and just straight to the point, my takes and everything, because that's how I am, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I am going to give you the opposite of what most of these ridiculous analysts do, because a lot of them like to regurgitate information. A lot of them really aren't watching as much film as they're saying they are. They're not doing as much homework as they say they are, because we can literally go listen to them and then watch the games and see that the games are showing us the exact opposite of what analysts are talking about. So that's another reason why I create this channel, because I get really irritated from a lot of these ridiculous analysts who likes to insult our intelligence and who likes to just talk out their ass. Not all analysts are like that, but most of them are. Like I told you all before, I don't mind telling you the analysts that I think that I do really do have great takes. I think Shannon Sharp has pretty good takes. I think Keith Talib is probably the best analyst on television, because I like how authentic and honest he is. He don't sugarcoat nothing. You know what I'm saying? Even though he can be very biased with the Broncos, but he's still, if you listen to him, he knows what he's talking about. I like Emmanuel Achos. I like Emmanuel Achos' takes. I think he has pretty good takes. I think that he's a little off when he talks about quarterbacks. I think he needs to be a little bit more malleable when it comes to quarterbacks. I think he's too rigid on this win-loss thing with quarterbacks, because it's not always like that. But I think outside of all of that, outside of when Manuel Acho talks about quarterbacks, I think he's really, really solid and good when he talks about players. I do, and when he analyzes the games. But outside of that, from the top of my head, I think everybody else is full of crap. So, and that's another thing on the channel. I don't mind telling you to go watch X, Y, and Z, to go watch this video, to listen to this guy, because I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind giving you the sources and the resources that I look at, that I am going to use my discernment and my good judgment based on my taste of what I think is alignment of my philosophy of football, of all the years I played football and been training with football. So that's that. But that's all I got for right now. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If you want me to go over some video, go over a topic, go over player, team, whatever, let me know. All right, deuces.